Can you hear me now? All good? Alright, what's up? Sorry for the delay, everyone. So for some reason between last night and today, okay. Gotta figure out why it's echoing then. Give me just a second to figure this stuff out. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. So is it all right now? Or is it bad? All right. Well, just let me know if it gets bad or whatever. But don't really have any options. So the streaming software went down, and then yeah, so tried to reset up the stream, but it's not working very well, I guess. But high pitched sound. Sorry guys, I have no idea how to fix this. I'll try, but yeah. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, sorry about that. Like I said, streaming software is had to start over, and for some reason, I believe I have it set up right, but it's picking something up, and I'm not sure how to troubleshoot it while live and trying to stream at the same time and all that. So I apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't let me log back into my account. It just kept twirling like it was trying to load, but it wasn't. Tori is actually at the 49er game that just ended. So he's down in San Francisco or Santa Clara, wherever the stadium is. So he went to his first NFL game tonight. Yeah. Man, maybe Tori can help me with the with what's wrong. But yeah, Blazers actually get the win tonight, so let's go back in the win column. And so it was a pretty good game. Blazers controlled it pretty much the whole time. I thought Jeremy was incredible tonight. Had a lot of drives that resulted in free throws. Let's see what his final free throw total was, but he was ultra aggressive this game, and it really set the tone for the Blazers, in my opinion, for this one. They needed to be aggressive. There was a stat at the beginning of the game that the Blazers were 5th in 3-point attempts and 28th in 3-point percentage. That's not a good combo. But tonight they shoot 18 of 43, I think it was, from 3. That's a lot better than their normal percentage, 42%. Anytime they shoot that many threes and shoot that well, they're going to have a good game most of the time. So that was key in this one, was actually hitting some threes. They hit 5 of their first 9, I think, and were 6 of 11 in the first quarter. And then you combine that with Jeremy getting to the line 6 times in the first quarter. I think he got to the line 6 times in the second quarter too. So he was just aggressive all night. Ends up with 19 free throws. That's crazy. 19 free throws from one person in this game, and it's a forward. But I really thought he controlled the entire game when he was in. There was a stretch in the fourth quarter. We were up 28. He went out of the game with about 8 minutes left. And 3 minutes later, the Bucks had already cut 10 points into the lead. I cut it to 18. It was getting a little bit like, oh man, are we going to have to play our starters the whole game and have to be in a close one, or are they going to make a comeback? But then Thiago put Jeremy back into the game, and they got a few stops, and then we got some garbage minutes, which I think is good with that big game on Wednesday coming up. And so it's I think it might come down to who plays in that game on Wednesday. But it's a huge game. For those that don't know, it's the fourth and final game of our group cup our group stage of the Emirates Cup. And the winner, if the Blazers win that game, they are the winner of the group, and they will be moving on to the knockout stages. So they have a huge opportunity ahead of them. So we know Drew's going to be out. We know Scoot's going to be out. Dame's obviously out. Thibault and Blake Wesley also out. What's up, Aromancer? So lots of people out in this one. We're gonna have to see about Sharp. I'm assuming it didn't look like anyone got hurt in this game, so I think Sharp is going to be the only one that will have to look at the injury report, which should be out later tomorrow. So the big question is, how hurt is he? Because I mentioned this last night, they did not give an injury report, or they did not give an injury update on him when they gave one on Drew and Scoot the other day. And to me, that signifies that it's not as serious. But you never know with this organization. So is he just day-to-day? Did they just not want to risk him, re-injuring that or aggravating it more in this back-to-back so that he's good to go on Wednesday? I think if he shows up on that injury report and he's questionable, I think that's probably a good sign that he's going to play. If he's just listed as out, we might have to start having a little bit of a worrisome conversation about now what's wrong with him. Is he going to be out a couple weeks as well with Drew? And why wouldn't they announce that at the same time they announced the Drew stuff? So it doesn't really, I guess it's not the whole story, but I think you'll get a lot of the story depending on what he's listed as going into Wednesday. And I'm hoping like heck that he's just going to be listed as questionable and play on Wednesday, and they just sat him out for precautionary reasons these 2 games to make sure that he's good to go. You don't want to mess around with calf injuries, but if he's okay and they're just being cautious, that's hopefully he's able to play on Wednesday. But back to this game. In addition to Grant, I thought Klingon was awesome tonight too. Between the 2 of them, I just really thought they were controlling this whole game. And Klingon was a beast protecting the rim. He really, really made it tough for the Bucks to get anything inside early in this game. His first stint was incredible. He really controlled the rim, had a block right off the bat. As Aramancer says, got to figure out stretch bigs. But they actually had a good strategy, I think. It just wasn't executed well. And you saw several times Donovan switching to whoever was cutting or going to the corner or the dunker spot in some cases, and he was having the smaller guy switch out to the big up top. Now the Blazers kept missing that rotation, and the person he was telling to go get the shooter was late getting there. So Miles Turner hit a couple threes in the beginning of the game. Portis came off the bench, and we didn't really have an answer for him in the first half. Kind of kept the Bucks in this game, scoring a lot off the pick and pop. So yeah, it's we're gonna get into trouble against good teams if Donovan's not able to hang out around the rim. But I did like that they were trying to make it so. Like a lot of times they had Grant guarding Turner, and then Donovan was guarding Andre Jackson when he came into the game. And you saw him, his first 3 was like off the backboard, not even close. He ended up hitting 1 3. I don't know if he hit any other threes the rest of the game, but his shot just looked so bad. And then, so it was a good decision, I thought, to put Klingon on him instead of whichever big was popping out, because that did give us a little bit of trouble in the first half. But yeah, I mean, we had 21 free throws at halftime. I think Jeremy had 12 of those 21. And anytime he was getting to the line, just super efficient. But I really thought he did an amazing job of just attacking the rim and making sure he was putting the pressure on the refs to call those fouls and stuff like that. As Adler says, he made up for last night. Yeah, the night before last. Yeah, he didn't have the greatest game. On Friday, he was 0 for 8 from the field. But tonight was a completely different story. And I thought when the Blazers, because it was hanging around a 10-point lead for much of the second and third quarter. And then there was a stretch run. Sorry about the audio. I don't know how to fix it or what's going on. I apologize. I have no idea. I tried to fix it for a few minutes at the beginning of the stream, but it's not going to happen, so just going to have to kind of bear with it. And now my stuff looks like it's freezing, possibly. Anyways, there was a stretch at the end of the third quarter, and I mentioned this last night, where we know that we have some bad lineups right now. And I talked about that, how Thiago doesn't really have a lot of options, but there was that lineup last night where it was like Rupert and CD and Love and Reith, and I forgot who the other person was, but it was just a brutal lineup. And in like 2 minutes before the end of the quarter, OKC went on like a huge run, and they made the game untouchable at that point. But tonight, the difference was that the that stretch, instead of having four of the G League guys or the into the bench guys in with Grant, he had Grant and Klingon in the game, and those two just went off there, and mostly Grant getting to the free throw line, but that stretch, we end up extending the lead from about 10 points up to like 30 points in just a few minutes, and that was really good, and that was almost all Grant and Klingon. And then they come out of the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Grant has a lob play to Klingon, which I thought was really good. There was also play towards the end of the third quarter. The Blazers actually ran an off-ball curl screen for Jeremy. Great screen by Donovan. He got him with the head of steam right down the middle. I forgot who passed to him. Might have been Love. Someone passed to him, and he got a full head of steam down the middle. Got an easy lay-in off a good screen, and we ran an off-ball action, and it resulted in a lay-in. Yeah. I know. No, I know. Huh? I know. Is that any better? I tried to turn the mic down a little bit. Hopefully it is. Anyways, it was good to see them run some off-ball action. So really good to see that. Grant had a lob to Klingon at the beginning of the fourth, and then a couple plays later, Love also had a nice lob pass to Klingon. And even though Klingon hit some threes in this game, I do like when he's hanging around the rim. We've talked about that several streams. I just thought he did a great job when he is around the rim. He even had like 3 post up in this game, and 2 of them he just looked to pass out of. I was kind of disappointed that he didn't try to attack on those. One of them he powered up and got a lay-in. And we know how well he's doing on the offensive glass. He's just been a monster on the boards. And he's just been when the Blazers miss so many shots, usually it's just such an advantage to have someone who can get the rebound and give us another opportunity. And tonight, you do it again when you don't necessarily have a bunch of opportunities because the Blazers made a lot more shots than they did last night. But he's still a menace down there, man. He has to be accounted for where he's at all times, and he's just doing such a good job of attacking. And even when he's not like in position to get a rebound, he's still trying to fight for it, and sometimes he gets a hand on it and knocks it away, which even if it doesn't result in a possession by the Blazers, it's a case where it can prevent the other team from running out on a break. Tori, if you can help me with that, I have no idea. I tried to figure it out for like 5 minutes at the beginning of the stream, but anyways, I thought, obviously hitting the threes, 18 threes. I have my regular mic connected. The ring is the Blazers winning. Yep. Yes, I'm sure. Like I said, I tried for several minutes to try and figure it out, but Who's going to the game on Wednesday? Says Aeromancer. I will not be there, but a lot of people, I'm sure, will be. That place, if you're going to the game, have it rocking because it's a huge game, man. Yep. I think maybe. Still trying to figure this out. Hello? I don't know if that did anything. What's up, Bruce Davis? Whoa. How did I do that? I have no idea what just happened there, but somehow it worked. Boom. No, it's not my phone. Yeah. People are saying it's perfect to have bad ears. I apologize, everyone. Whatever happened, it's better. Like I said at the beginning, if you missed it, I had to reset up my whole stat thing without logging in to my old. It wouldn't let me log in. It just kept acting like it was logging in, but it wouldn't do anything. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, apologize for that. I see Bruce Davis in chat. I know he had a member message earlier. Member for 36 months. Thank you so much for 3 years of being a member, Bruce. That's awesome. He says, hi, Tori, Eric. Good win on the road. Go get Spurs. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we get that win on Wednesday, man. That would be so cool to be sitting here talking about making it to the playoff stage of the group. The group, especially that group, right? Looking at going into the season. I sound like I'm speaking directly into your ears now. You need some ASMR. Yeah, so yeah, Spurs are going to be shorthanded, so there's no excuses. It looks like Castle and Wemby are both going to be out for that game. Yeah, so Work Show said, what did you think about the ridiculous amount of calls Jeremy was getting? I would have been irate if I was a Bucks fan. I don't think in the first quarter there were a couple plays where I thought he got away with kind of foiling a little bit, but they didn't call a couple where I thought he got fouled on. But like there was a play I think it was at the end of the third where who is it? Jericho Sims just kept sticking his arm out and pushing him, and then they call the foul eventually because Jeremy then just accentuates the contact and throws it up, and they're all complaining about it. Like, how do you call that? But he like fouled him like 4 times before they actually called it. They should have called it sooner. So, man, I didn't think it was a case where Jeremy was just getting ridiculous calls or anything that I would be upset about. It's just I thought Jeremy just more so than like maybe there was a Knicks game a couple years ago where him and Anthony I think in overtime both scored a ton of points. And there was that game against the Pistons where he had, I think, 49 or something like that. There are games where he gets to the line like that. But I just thought today he just really did a good job of not settling and drawing some contact. And I felt like most of the fouls were him. And so yeah, I mean, you can complain looking at the the foul shot discrepancy, especially at halftime. But I don't think if you go back and look at them, like there was anything egregious in our favor or anything like that. So yeah. Yeah, there was a play by Tamani that they were complaining about, but yeah, I don't know. Tamani's good at, as Nika says, kind of setting up, getting into the contact, and yeah. But I really like Grant's game today, man. I thought he was everything. Oh, and sorry, I haven't mentioned Denny yet. All you Denny people who are counting the time, how much time are we into this? All right, it took me 26 minutes. Sorry, Denny lovers. Um, I thought Denny was okay tonight. He had a decent stat line at the end of the night. Definitely had a couple shots that he normally makes that he could have hit, but overall, just solid game, and didn't really need him to do too much tonight. But we're definitely going to need him to do a lot more on Wednesday. And yeah, I thought he was steady tonight. Had 4 turnovers, 5 assists, but none of them were super bad. Yeah, it's okay. I thought Sissoko did not have a good game. I know he hit 1 3, but he didn't really have his normal hustle impact, but it didn't really matter in this. 26 minutes is ridiculous. How dare you? Yeah, I'm sorry. That one guy that got mad about it being 15 minutes is really going to make it mad. It was all because of the stuff I was going to mention Denny right at the top of the show, right? But I had those technical difficulties. That's the only reason, I promise. Anyways, I thought Denny was fine. Tamani had a bounce back game. I didn't think he was very good last night. And then tonight, I thought he was much better. He seemed he just seemed a little bit more engaged tonight, a little bit more confident than he had been in recent games. So, yeah. Elizabeth Allen says LMAO at claiming last game SJ's free throws were bad. I don't know if that was directed at me or not. I know you guys were arguing the entire stream last night about refereeing, but in chat, I didn't really, other than a couple plays that I discussed, I didn't think there was any super bad calls against or that went for SGA last night. But yeah, it's I don't really know what else to say about this game. The Blazers hit some threes that they hadn't been hitting, and outside of the Golden State game, and then they continue to just crank those threes out. That's why I thought it was so important what Grant did, because we know Denny is going to take it to the basket. Let's see how many free throw attempts did. Denny got to the line only 3 times today. So low amount of attempts from the free throw line for him. Eight. Sorry, that was Klingon. 8 free throw attempts. So that's right around his average, I think. So yeah, I thought Denny did his usual stuff, but it helps when you have another person do that usual stuff too. And that's why what Grant did tonight I thought was pretty cool. And Grant with four rebounds, 4 assists, just like Denny, four rebounds, 5 assists. So Grant had a couple of really nice passes. I mentioned the lob to Klingon. He also had a bounce pass I forget who it was to. Might have been to Rob or someone cutting down the baseline for a lay-in. Chris Murray, 3-point shot is awful. It continues to be a problem when he's left wide open and no one's respecting him. They got to figure out a way to counteract that if teams start to sag off of him. But, he had another couple impressive offensive rebounds in this game. So he's also getting it done on the boards, and then had a dunk off a good drive and cut. So, I thought he was okay, but still have to figure out a way to hit some threes. And then Robert Williams, I thought, played some good minutes, 16 minutes. Good to see him play that much. We know Thiago said after the Golden State game that he played him a little more than he was supposed to, but I don't think we should be taxing him or wearing him out or anything. But I think that 16 to 20 minute range, if you can get him consistently playing that, I don't think that's too strenuous on your body. And if you get hurt playing 16 to 20 minutes a game, it just wasn't meant to be. So I don't think you can baby him with 8 minutes a game like they were doing for the whole season or anything. I think at some point you need to ramp that up to like actual backup minutes. Rob Wills providing some nice minutes, had some good defensive plays in this one. I don't like him shooting threes, but that was his one bad shot, I think. And then, he was really active around the boards and stuff and around the rim. And he's also a good lob target. They had a nice lob to him. So good game from him. Repair came in, played 16 minutes. I thought he was okay this game. Didn't really mess anything up. He did some of those minutes, I guess, were in garbage time, but had some nice defense again. Had a turnover, couple assists. Yeah, he was okay. I mean, we shouldn't be playing Repair, but right now I kind of have to play him some minutes. But he wasn't as bad as he was last night. Missed both of his 3-point attempts like Chris, but he's, I don't know. They weren't killers or anything. Caleb Love, I guess, is the only other bench guy we talked about. Reith and Young got in the game, but it was only 3 minutes at the end. I don't think it really mattered, or you can take anything from that. Caleb Love ends up 5 of 13, 3 for 8. He made a couple of shots in the second half to save kind of his percentages in this one. Man, that guy can put up shots. Every game it seems like he's taking just as many shots as some of our starters coming off the bench. And it's pretty crazy, but he's going to get his looks. Denny only shoots 13 times too, so he's shooting just as much as Denny the last couple games. That's crazy. I know he had that huge game against Golden State, and then the dud on last night. But 5 of 13 tonight. He's aggressive. He like I said, he gets his shots up. I don't know if that's like it's not a good or a bad thing in my opinion. It's just what it is. And the Blazers kind of need someone that can just get shots up. And obviously if he's hitting them, then that's good. If he's missing them, you can also shoot yourself out of a game. It's I compared it to Delano Banton a couple of streams ago from like a Blazers perspective, but it's kind of like that Jamal Crawford mode where or sorry, not Jamal Crawford. Jordan Clarkson is who I meant to say. Um, where you're either gonna win a game or you're gonna like shoot your team out of a game. So um, it's pretty crazy. But uh, as someone mentioned in chat, he also had 5 rebounds and 4 assists, and that's been my favorite thing about Love so far is he's rebounding decently for his size and his position. So if he could uh, yeah, if he continues to rebound at that guard position, that helps us out. We know our rebounding troubles uh, have been an issue, but they haven't been as much of an issue lately. And tonight, the Blazers out rebound the Bucks 48-39. I think it was even more of a gap at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. Blazers get 12 offensive rebounds as well. Controlling the game. Blazers did turn the ball over 16 times. I felt like it wasn't quite half, but it felt like half of those turnovers were like, oh, the Blazers almost get a rebound or almost get a steal, and then the other team steals it right back, or they save a ball, and when they switch the shot clock to like the other team's possession, and then the other team, when they get it right back, gets a new possession, so then it counts as like a steal and then a turnover, or a rebound and a turnover. So those aren't as bad of turnovers as like dribbling it up and just losing the ball to someone like we've done several times. And so Kirk says we should get Tori a Love jersey for Christmas. That'd be pretty cool. I'm sure he'd wear it. Anyways, I really think that 16 turnovers isn't great, but I didn't think they obviously didn't when we win by that much, but they didn't play as big of a role as they normally would. And I thought the Blazers defense at times in this game looked really good too. Obviously you're playing a team without their star, so you should be able to control the defense. And this is where it comes into play. Like, the Blazers need to show that they can stop teams like this tonight, missing their best player. Are you going to let Ryan Rollins or someone like that, Gary Trent, or some random player on their team just go off against us and let them stick in the game? And I thought we talked about that a little bit. Their bigs, I think, gave us a little bit of trouble in the first half. I think the Blazers made an adjustment on that in the second half, and they really blew the game open there in that third quarter. It was good to see the Blazers just kind of shut them down. They were getting nothing inside other than at times when Klingon had to go out or something and wasn't protecting the rim. But anytime he was near that rim, man, they were scared to go in there. They were putting up bad shots. He was just altering all kinds of shots in there. And really the Bucks, it seemed like, did not want anything to do with attacking Klingon inside. So that was cool. Kuzma tried to attack a little bit in the second half. Didn't really work out great for him. But yeah, so I thought the Blazers should and needed to have a good defensive game tonight, and I thought they did that pretty well. Bum says beating a team missing one key player is pretty good considering we're missing 5 key players. Yes, but that key player that the other team is missing is Giannis. Come on, man. We still have Denny and Grant and all that, and I'm not saying that it's that bad, but yeah. The Bucks are also missing Kevin Porter Jr. and I think they're missing someone else. But I mean, Giannis is playing at like an MVP level, so it's not quite the same as missing like Blake Wesley and stuff like that. Come on. But no, I thought the Blazers. I was really interested to see how they came out in this game, and I thought they got off to a great start. That run at the beginning of the game, they were up 7-0, and probably should have been up more, but they kind of let them back into it a little bit. But I think that Antetokounmpo played tonight. What do you mean? Yeah, Thanasis played tonight. Yeah, but yeah, I was really encouraged by the way the Blazers came out in this game. I thought the defense was good. Um, Obviously, we talked about them having a little bit of an issue then as the Bucks started to stretch the floor with Miles Turner popping out to the 3-point line. But I thought the Blazers adjusted as the game went on, and once they started guarding Portis and not letting him go off, completely controlled the game. So yeah, just a, I don't want to say easy win for the Blazers, but it was nice to have kind of a game where they could just kind of put it in cruise control a little bit and just dictate the flow of the game. It wasn't like, it didn't seem like a super fast-paced game like the Blazers want to play. They only have 6 fast break points once again, so not great there. So it did seem like it was kind of a slower game and in the half court, played in the half court. But that's where I think when you get those possessions from Jeremy where he's getting to the foul line over and over again, that's like the best half court offense you can get if you can draw fouls. So I think the Blazers did a good job all around. Yeah, what do you guys think? Tori says, look at Taya Grant Foster, man. His Gonzaga Bulldogs must be playing well. Yeah, Jeremy was a plus 39 tonight. That's crazy. But man, if you watch this game, though, I mean, I guess it's not surprising. Like I said, there was that stretch with him and Klingon. Klingon was a plus 14, which was the second best. But they had that stretch together where they really broke this game open, just the two of them. And yeah. Protopathy says, was a solid game from the Blazers tonight. Era EF says the game felt easy. Elizabeth Allen says that's the 16th best Blazer plus minus ever. Is that true? You're just making stuff up. I mean, Grant was awesome tonight, dude. Like, I was very impressed. I forget who asked this question, but someone asked if this changes my opinion on whether Grant should come off the bench or not. I still believe he, on this particular roster, I think he's best suited coming off the bench. And that is mainly because I think we need someone who played like Jeremy played tonight consistently off the bench. And I don't think we necessarily need that in the starting lineup if everyone's healthy. But I do think that Jeremy playing like this tonight is perfect for kind of like a 6-man bench role. Now, if one of our forwards goes down, that's fine. But I don't want to play or start him over Tamani or Denny. And then if you play him over Sharp or start him over Sharp when healthy, it's, I don't know. I think we're a little too unbalanced then between the first and second unit. I mean, I do know that you can stagger him a little bit and mix and match lineups. You don't have to like hockey sub or anything like that. But I do think that the way he's played most of the games this year is perfect for a roll off the bench. And that doesn't mean he can't play in crunch time or whatever, have a big role, play 30-some minutes still. I still think he's going to. We saw him sub in, 5 minutes into the game usually, most games. But that was the other thing about the first quarter. I thought it was nice to see Thiago kind of waited longer than he normally does to make his first substitutions. And I thought that was good to help the guys get into a bit of a rhythm, and they were playing well. So I was happy that he let them kind of continue their play instead of kind of disrupting that like he has been doing almost all season since he took over. And speaking of that, Chauncey Billups, for those that don't know, was in court today. He pled not guilty to all his charges against him. And crazy number, though. It's a $5 million bond put on him. Obviously, sending a message because that's crazy for the charges he had. But yeah, obviously high-profile defendant. But yeah, he's gonna fight this, and like I talked about last stream, who knows if he's gonna plea out or become an informant or something. But this was just the it was just the time where he goes in front of the judge and pleads either guilt or says he's guilty or not guilty. So not guilty. Now it goes to trial. But like I said, I'd be surprised if it actually made it to trial for Chauncey if he didn't plea out or something before that. Or maybe he thinks that the evidence against him is nothing. They said they had a terabyte hard drive of evidence on all 31 defendants. So we'll see. Elizabeth Allen says Rozier is definitely going to rat on someone. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. Brian the Kid says, do you sell high on Jeremy at the deadline or stand packed? I talked about this for like 15 minutes last night. Just real quickly, I think the Blazers are in a position where it doesn't make sense to move him the way they've set up their roster and their salary cap situation. So I'd actually be super surprised if they moved on from Jeremy or Drew this year. I think both of those guys, they feel like provide a veteran presence, and with Dame coming back into the fold next year, I feel like they're gonna just make it work with all those guys and aren't really gonna look to take advantage of that. And I think this year in particular, I still think the goal is to make the playoffs or the play-in. They're still in position to do that. And so unless that drastically changes and the bottom falls off or something, or there's some serious injuries that put not only this year but maybe some into next year in doubt, hopefully that doesn't happen considering our injury history. But I really think that they're just gonna kind of let this group play out and kind of add or tweak it, not necessarily like look to capitalize on value, because it's going to be really hard if your goal is to make the playoffs or make a run starting next year with Dame. You don't have that big of a window, and that's one of the issues with bringing Dame back or bringing in Drew in a trade or keeping Grant is that window to win with those guys is pretty small. Now, if you do a good job of supplementing them with the younger guys, Denny and Tamani are in the mid-20s, and then we know Scoot, Sharp, Donovan are all in their early 20s. So then you still... I think the two timeline thing, this is like one of the times where if it's those guys, it could work. So hopefully that mix of people, they all gel. But I do think that you have to add to that a little bit so we don't have these minutes if there's some injuries next year with City Sissoko and Chris Murray and players like that getting huge amounts of minutes in games. I just think that they're going to have to like add a little bit of depth to that roster and shooting at some point in addition to Dame. But if you just think about it, if they're healthy and didn't move anyone, and you have Drew, Dame, Scoot, Sharp at the guards, you have Tamani, Thibault, Denny, Grant at the forwards, and then you got Donovan, Rob Will, and then hopefully someday Young is NBA playable. I that's a pretty good start. If you make a couple of quality signings or trades or add another draft pick this year, if you lose in the play-in or something and get the 12th pick or something like that, and that ends up being this year's version of Cedric Coward or someone like that, you just keep adding to the talent pool, and I think they got a pretty good base right now. The only thing that could like mess that, not really mess it up, but alter that plan, I think Scoot is the focal point of whether or not they would make any sort of move, and it just kind of depends on if he's looking good when he comes back. I could definitely see them deciding to move on from one of the other guards, thinking that Scoot is ready to take those minutes. If he's struggling this year or never quite gets it together, it is possible he's maybe the odd man out. I don't know if they'd sell low on him because that doesn't make sense either. But I think that's the only way like their current plan would change too much. And the only other thing would be, we know Rob Will and Thibault are both free agents at the end of this year. So maybe you don't feel confident in re-signing those guys, and you either package them both or move them separately, or move one or the other. Maybe there's a scenario where they've been told that they're going to be looking at their options in free agency, and they don't want to risk losing them for nothing, so you move them at the deadline. But that's about it, right? I don't see them making like a drastic move until they're ready to go all in with those draft picks and all that kind of stuff. So if a star becomes available and they go all in, that completely changes the dynamic, because who knows who you'd have to give up for that. But just in terms of the current roster and the kind of direction, I don't think they're going to do anything too drastic unless it's like a no-brainer, until they kind of know for sure how this roster is going to work out some of their key guys that haven't played at all or much this year. And then you add that into the fact that they're still right in that play-in mix right now. Should easily be in the running, at least for play-in the whole season. But yeah. Workshow says, I'm reading between the lines. Eric wants AD. Yeah. AD trade. Yeah, that's another thing Tori and I have talked about. AD's definitely a guy who can help you. And if you can get someone like that for cheaper than it normally would cost because of his injury history and stuff, I just don't believe the Mavericks are going to be like, oh, you know what? There's not much of a market for AD. Let's just give him away. So I do think it would kind of hurt to get him. But if you didn't give up too much, that is a swing I wouldn't hate doing. Especially if it was for like expiring contracts, and then like maybe one of the young guys in a pick. But overall, I mean, you know, with the injury problems and stuff, I'd hate to add another injury. Anthony Data Davis. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best mix either. But if you can get him for cheap and not have to give up a ton of your assets, and then you still have the ability to make a big move later on and add even more talent, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you'd have to give up. Um, what was the question? Samsite says Eric wants Jaw to Portland confirmed. No, no. I don't know. I feel like he's never gonna really get back to where he was a few years ago. Mm-hmm. But is the question? I don't see it, but is it would I trade Scoot for Con Knipple? Um, I don't. That's tough. The way, that, like you said, the Hornets would never do that. But the way the Blazers are constructed right now, I think I think Knipple would fit in really well with the rest of the roster if we were trying to win now. Um, I don't know if without seeing Scoot this year and seeing how big of a jump he took from last year, I don't know if we can say that Knipple's better than Scoot or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I do think Knipple would provide something that this team really needs. And yeah, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. As Nika says, Scoot fits great too, and hopefully that's the case. It seems like this offense is going to be really good for him. We just haven't had a chance to see it yet. Analysis Khan has really shown a different playmaking level of defense than he did in college as well. The defense has been better than I thought it would be. But really, his playmaking, I thought he showed that a little bit when Cooper Flagg got hurt towards the end of the season and missed a couple games. And Khan really showed that ability then. Now, it was a small sample size, just a couple games. But I was really impressed with those couple games. I thought those were the best games of the season for him in terms of showing what he could do on an NBA level. But yeah, like obviously he's taken it to an even higher level this year. But man, he's been very impressive. But yeah, if we had that shooting, you added that shooting to this roster currently, without seeing Scoot and just replacing him, I do think that would be a good move for the Blazers. Now, it won't happen, so it's kind of pointless. But yep. Scoot for LaMelo. Well, LaMelo makes way too much money, so that's completely different because LaMelo's you're gonna have to trade multiple contracts to match for LaMelo, and I'm sure being the Hornets franchise player, they're gonna expect a lot in return. So, but yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people don't take into account. It's like, so con for Scoot is a lot closer because they're both on their rookie deals, in terms of like the CBA working out. But if you're trying to say to trade Scoot for like a max contract guy, it's a lot harder to make it work. Pim says Caleb Love played well. Yeah, he played well at times in this game. His overall stat line looks pretty good. At the end of the game, I did think he he took some bad shots when he first came in the game, but hit some in the second half and got that to be respectable. Not that 5-13 is great, but bring CJ home. Hashtag sarcasm. Yeah, I mean, definitely a buyout possibility, but I just, as funny of a story as that would be, I don't think that the Blazers would be looking to add more guards, especially someone like CJ. Hashtag sarcasm. Work Show says I was surprised to see Gary Trent Jr. as a garbage time in Milwaukee now. Yeah, his on off has been terrible. The Bucks have been brutal with Gary Trent in the ball game this year. So, yeah, he's kind of fallen off. Had that good playoff game for them, and thought maybe he'd be a big part of their future, but it's kind of what he is. He'll have a good shooting game every once in a while, and then he'll hurt you a lot other games. So I was never really sad that we ended up moving on from him. Is Caleb Love better than Delano Banton? They're same archetype. Both shoot about the same. I kind of felt like he was getting punished for playing bad early. Who's that? Gary Trent or someone else? Is Love better at defense? Love is competing on that end, and that's sometimes all you can ask for. I don't think he's quite there yet in terms of like knowing the game and knowing where he's supposed to be, knowing how to rotate, knowing when to pressure and when not to. Those are all things that he's going to have to learn, and obviously most rookies don't come in and know all those things, so I'm not saying that he needs to be, but I do like that he's working hard on that end. He's giving effort when he's out there. I don't think he understands the game well enough to be like a positive on defense, but I don't think he's like hurting us either outside of I forget which game it was. It was last game or one of the games he fouled a 3-point shooter and had some bad defensive moments, but I do like that he's seemingly trying really hard on that end, and that's sometimes all you can ask for. Can Rob, Will, and Klingon share the floor? I think they can for a few minutes in spot situations. I don't think you can play them extended minutes. It kind of depends on the matchup as well. If the other team doesn't have a stretch big that's killing us, I think maybe you'd get away with it for a while. But, I mean, with Robert Williams' injury history, I don't think you want to play him more than like 20 minutes a game at the most, absolute most. So I don't think you need to really even consider playing them together. I would have been interested to see how many minutes Klingon played if he would have came back into the game if it was closer. He only ends up playing 27 minutes tonight. It was pretty good for a back-to-back situation. The minutes didn't get out of control really for anyone, either last night or tonight. So I think that'll bode well for being somewhat okay on Wednesday. And hopefully we get Sharp back just to have another body, really. Because I think... I think if we can just limit some of these guys' minutes, I think we'll be better off. But once again, we're playing a team that's also going through it with injuries, and two of their best players are going to be out. I think Dylan Harper might also still be out. I heard something that he was maybe getting ready to resume basketball activities or had already resumed them. But yeah, I think he's probably still going to be out for that game. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong if they've seen that he's going to be back, but or has already played and been back. But yeah, they're missing some key guys as well, and obviously when they don't have Wemby, that's their whole team revolves around him, and they can still win. But hopefully, the game on Wednesday goes a lot like the game tonight. Blazer Maniac asked, what do you think about going after Kispert? I am not a fan of going after Kispert. I don't like his contract for what he brings. His percentages shooting aren't that good, and for just being a shooter, and I don't think he provides much else other than shooting, and he's not like elite at shooting. So I don't really like his contract for what he brings. Someone I've talked about multiple times this year is Keon Ellis. I think provides all the shooting that, like, he's the best possible shooter we can get. Career 42.9% shooter, and also plays defense and is scrappy and stuff like that. So I think Keon Ellis is the perfect trade target and only makes $2.2 million. So wouldn't cost us like a bunch of salary to get, or wouldn't cost us like Thibault or Rob Will like it would take to trade for Kispert. So I don't really like Kispert as an option. And I'm assuming since the Blazers haven't made a run for him yet, that they feel the same way, that they don't really see him as an option either. Yeah, this year he's shooting okay, but he's not playing a ton, right? His career numbers is what I'm talking about. Last I checked, he wasn't playing a ton for the Wizards and kind of gotten out of favor. $19 minutes a game this year, down from 26 last year. But yeah, with that, his attempts per game have gone way down. I mean, he's a 38.3% is not bad. I'm just saying, like, that's all you're getting, though. That's all you're getting. So I would prefer someone who can, I don't know. There's an elite 3-point shooter sitting right there that is seemingly available. And before Elizabeth Allen says it, yes, I know a lot of teams are going to be interested in him and going after him. But, yeah. If we was to trade Grant for a player with high upside, who would it be from the Kings? I don't think they're trading Grant. Like I said earlier, I don't think they're trading him. And if you go after Keon Ellis, I think you'd give up like a Chris Murray or Ryan Rupert and just give him as many seconds as they want as it takes to get him. 4 seconds, and Ryan Rupert or Chris Murray. Yeah. Nathan says, Eric, I didn't get to watch the game. Can you summarize it in 20 seconds? Jeremy Grant, awesome. Klingon, good. Denny, usual. Blazers win. Bucks suck. That's it. I don't know if they would take that, Gregory, but I really find it hard to believe that any team is going to offer the Kings a first for him, considering he hasn't been a huge part of their rotation or anything. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I'd find it hard to believe a team gave up maybe like a super protected first, but at that point, that's not worth much more than seconds anyway. So, yeah, and I keep coming back to this, but maybe there's just some little bit of the Kings organization that would think it was cool to pair Chris with Keegan, and then so they overvalue him a little bit. But yeah. Hi, Mom. Nice that Dame got an ovation. Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I don't think a lot of teams would do that for a player that played 2 years and, as a fan base probably thinks his tenure there was a bit of a disappointment considering what they gave up. But it was nice of them to acknowledge him tonight with a little video tribute. Honey Win Button says, "Hey, I've said snarky things on this channel before, but I appreciate your knowledge and promise to keep it positive going forward." Were we saying something bad tonight? I don't know. Thonis's ovation greater than Dame's ovation. Yeah. They love themselves some Thonises. I think that's purely, well, part of it's just comedy. And like a couple years ago when he did the Sham God in the game, the crowd just went crazy. And then part of it's just like they so desperately want Giannis to stay, and they'll do anything to make him happy, including cheer for his much worse brother. Nika was surprised how respectful the fans were to Dame. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I know a lot of, well, if you look on social media, they kind of turned on Dame, and yeah, it didn't result in any success trading for him. But it's tough when Giannis is hurt the first year in the playoffs, and the second year Dame he gets those blood clots, and then works his way to be able to play in the playoffs, gives his body for the playoffs, and then has that Achilles injury, and so wasn't able to really see what both of them could do in a playoff series together at full strength. So, yeah, never know, but I don't think that's necessarily Dame's fault or anything. Do I need to have a poll, or do we all agree that Jeremy Grant was the player of the game today? David says they were running more pick and roll with Rollins and Giannis than they ever did with Dame. Yeah, that was so frustrating because we know Dame is an elite pick and roll player, and they just really did not do a good job of doing that. But hopefully Kamara's and Klinga's jumpers are turning a quarter, says Tori. Trevor wants me to do a poll of Denny versus Jeremy just to see how close it is. Yeah. Greg says Gary Trent Jr. is certainly no Norman Powell. Yeah. Powell's been great for the Heat. That I don't know if Alex Wolfson here, but he was talking to me about that earlier today, just saying like, man, what a great trade that was for the Heat to get him for very little, just because the Clippers wanted John Collins. That was that was a really good move for them. I mean, they're not a championship contender or anything, but they're supposed to get Hero back, and yeah, they're a fun team this year. They're the way they're playing. I don't like to say that they're fun, but that the way they play is really fun, and of course they're well coached. So I don't know how long they're gonna keep it up though. Gregory with a great question says 15 games into the season, who are your biggest surprise teams around the league? I think my biggest surprise is a negative that the Clippers are as bad as they are. I mean, they looked pretty decent against us earlier in the season, and we knew they had the whole Pablo Torre investigation into them. The NBA now investigating it. The looming. Are they going to avoid? Are they going to avoid Kawhi's contract, or what's going to happen with that situation? I thought that might play a factor in this season, but I also thought, trading for John Collins, Chris Paul played all 82 games last year and didn't. I mean, yeah, he's old and not as obviously nowhere near what he used to be, but he's not. And now that he announced his retirement at the end of the season, I just thought they were gonna be at least a play-in team, and they still could be. They just have way too much talent, even if it's older talent. And so that's my biggest surprise. And in the positive way, I see Toronto being mentioned. Both them and the Pistons being at the top of the East is surprising, but we knew the East was going to be very up in the air. So yeah, I think both of those teams playing as well as they have. Raptors especially. I thought maybe they were a play-in team or borderline play-in team this year, but they've really turned it on. Their stretch they're on has been amazing. Jamal Shed is awesome, says Nika. Yeah, I think I saw something where he had, I forgot how many game stretch it was, but he had like 23 assists to 1 turnover or something in a recent stretch. It's pretty good. Marv thought the Magic would be better. Yeah, I still think they can turn it around. Yeah, Suns are a good one. They've been really good. We talked about them last night. Just good mix of the right players to coming together, and they get a little bit of the Dylan Brooks bump, but who knows how long that lasts. But yeah, they've been playing some good ball. Of course, the Ducks grandman thinks they're better because of Dylan Brooks. He does bring an energy. He brings a tenacity, like a grit that a lot of teams need. Now it can also, he can, much like a Draymond, he can take it too far sometimes and make it be costly in like a negative way. But I do think that he's been very good for them so far. Let's see if he can keep it on track before and not let it get too extreme. But yeah, he's averaging over 20 points per game, I think. Like, he's been good offensively too, not just defensively. They lost to the Rockets without KD today. Yeah. Yep. Let's see if there's any. Oh, I missed a Trevor Schindler. What's up, Trevor? I hope you're still in here. He had a $2 donation. Solo Eric, what a treat. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you, man. Missed seeing your name in chat and all that kind of stuff recently. And then Blazer Maniac 1 of 1, welcome to starter membership. Thank you for becoming a member there. Appreciate you. Trevin said they didn't have Mark Williams or Ryan Dunn or Grayson Allen. Yeah, stuff. But I mean, it's one game. One game. We saw the Blazers lose to the Lakers without LeBron, Luka, and Reeves too. So it happens. Has any team overcome as many injuries as the Blazers to be respectable? I'm sure they have. I mean, there's teams that deal with injuries all the time. They are mounting, but Fanatic says, do you think Clippers should get DeMar DeRozan? See, for me, it's like that's a horrible decision to trade for someone like that. But at the same time, it's like, screw it. What else are you going to do, right? Like, so it's almost like, yeah, just do it. Like, it's not like a great move. I don't think he's a great fit or with Harden, but it's like, you got to do something, right? You don't have your pick this year. Just do it. Like, that sounds so crazy, but I'd maybe try to get Levine or someone like that before him, but yeah, I mean, go for it. Yeah, their defense has been bad, but like, just might as well throw in all those older players that don't really make sense playing together. But Ducks Grandman's going to throw up if OKC gets the number 1 pick because of the Clippers. Yeah. That trade just will continue to get worse and worse. It's bad enough that SGA is MVP and they got a bunch of other picks from it, but Clips need to trade Kawhi to the Blazers for Grant. Okay. Yeah, that's what they need to do. Pelicans beat the Bulls, and 8 of their 9 players who played scored double digits. Even Bryce McGowan's. Well, we know Bryce can get hot too. He's another one of those Delano Banton types that can put up some points if they get it going. Do you trade Zubac for DC? No. I do think Zubac is a very good quality center. And hopefully DC can expand his offensive game to being as good as Zubac. And Zubac is a decent defender as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously Zubac is probably better right now today, but I've always been of the opinion when it comes to Donovan, his impact and the way he allows this team to play defensively is really hard to replace. And I do think that it's only going to get better as he gets older, because he was doing some things as a rookie defensively that are very uncommon and rare. So I do think that in the future, DC is going to be like an all defensive team guy most years. And he just has a little bit more of a presence. Once again, Zubac is the better player right now. It's not really that close probably, but yeah. I don't really see the point in like switching up that part of our roster. I still think it's better to have some of the younger guys. But yeah, I don't think either team would make that trade anyway. Tyler J says satisfying W. Yes, always good. Now they've won 2 out of the last 3. Hopefully make it 3 out of 4 on Wednesday. Once again, huge game. Huge game. Mute that bozo says, what did I miss? Repeat it all now. I already had someone come in here and ask that they missed the game and what happened. But yeah. I'm gonna watch the end of that game. What game? No, Zubac was awesome last year. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to minimize it. But yeah, this was the Jeremy Grant game. He was awesome. Once again, everyone, I'm sorry for the beginning of the stream and being kind of late. Nathan says, as long as we win the games against the bottom of the league, we should be good for a playoff push when everyone's healthy. Yeah, just kind of withstand this stretch here. I'm going to take a look at the standings. Looks like Kings and Timberwolves are headed to overtime. OT. All right, so the Blazers still in 9th. 8-10 now. Game and a half behind Golden State still. They must have won today too, right? Yeah. They're now 2 games up on Memphis and 2.5 up on Utah, and the Clippers there at 11. So yeah, they're holding steady. It does look like the last playoff spot or 2 will be a little easier to get than in previous years, where you probably had to win 43 to 47 games. Just trying to think of what it was last year or previous years. So last year, 39 to 43 for Dallas last year. Wasn't as good as I thought it was, but there was a huge jump between 9th and 8th, which there might be this year again. Maybe it's the year before. Thinking of. Yeah, okay, it was the year before. So Houston was 41 and 41, and they were 11th. So it took 46 and 36 tied for 9th and 10th. Yeah. Prestigious guy says, do you think we played soft against the Thunder to win tonight instead because of the back-to-back? I do think they made the conscious decision to play Rob Will tonight instead of yesterday in a more winnable game. And it does seem like they had a little bit more of a focus on this game. But I don't think they lost on purpose last night. I think they just called off the dogs after it looked apparent that we weren't going to win. So Keegan Murray's cooking. OKC's just so good, man. It's tough. Yeah, I mean, it helps playing a team much worse than the team you played last night as well. Milwaukee did not look good tonight, in my opinion. They look pretty out of sorts, and a lot of that's because they're built around Giannis. But I felt like they kind of played as a bunch of individuals, didn't really have a good game plan or anything. Yeah, Cessner says lost on purpose to OKC. LOL, as if we could win if our life depended on. We did beat them this year, but I think that made them more focused to come out and play us harder. And last night, um, yeah, Doc Rivers is very overrated, and I don't think he's. I think the game's kind of passed him by a little bit. Yeah, I do agree that the Thunder wreck everyone. There's no shame in losing last night. Uh, they were they were gonna beat us down whether we played everyone or not. So I think it was probably the right decision to, if they did kind of rest people for tonight. I think that was the decision that needed to be made because get this win, and then Wednesday, like I said, monumental game for the uh, group to win the group. Hopefully the Blazers come through and play a really good game because it'd be sweet to have. I think December 9th or 10th would be their first game for that cup game. If they win on Wednesday, then they would play in the knockout stage starting that either the 9th or the 10th. So it does add a harder game to your schedule, I guess, because you play another team that made the group stages, so it would be in theory like a good team. But that would be it'd be cool to be talking about. Not that the excuse me, not that the in-season tournament means anything, but I do think it's meaningful in the sense like, oh, it's like a little something extra to play for, and it's cool if a team like the Blazers, who aren't going to win a championship or anything this year, if they could at least like, you know, get a good record and um, get some opportunities, some experience playing in just like a little bit more pressure packed situation, because I think it'll be similar to, at least for the Blazers, playing in that kind of environment in the knockout stage will be similar to a play-in game. Obviously not as much on the line, but like in terms of pressure and getting a little bit more than a normal game. So I think it is a good experience for them to have like that playoff like format, not necessarily environment, but just like where it kind of like, oh, you've got to win this or you're out type of thing. It does help your mindset and your experience having a couple extra games like that. So hopefully they can get into that knockout stage and maybe even win a game or two. I just think that'd be really fun. Um, but looking at it too, if you win your first game or whatever, you're probably gonna have to play Oklahoma City at some point. You might even have to get matched up with them the first game, so it might be like another scheduled loss just because of who you're playing. But as Trevin puts it, by winning the group, you're knocking out a bunch of good teams just by winning this group. So. Who's lost more games to injuries? Elizabethtown? I don't know what team you're talking about. Okay, see. Yeah, I mean, they have J-Dub spent out the entire season. Who knows when he's going to come back. But yeah. Obviously, the first game we played them, they were missing several guys too, including Chet and J-Dub. But yeah, I'm excited to hear from Tori when he comes back, how going to the 49er game was tonight. 49ers get the win. Also went to the Blazer game on Friday night. Saw the Blazers with one of their best performances of the season, beating Golden State in San Francisco. And then he's going to the Kings game on Wednesday on his way back up. So Should be fun for him. Torrey should have went to this Kings game tonight instead. Yeah, but I mean, 49er game. This one time you can see them once a week, so I think he made the right decision to go tonight. Got to see Brock Purdy throw 3 first half interceptions. That was dreadful. But they got the win, so that's all that matters. I'm in Houston and caught the Houston-Denver game. Nice. Yeah, it'd be fun. Yeah. I gotta get to some more arenas too. Once Vegas and Seattle have a team, it'll be a lot easier. I love going to Vegas, and Seattle's a pretty easy drive from Portland. Jordan asks thoughts on Splitter so far. I don't know, man. I I want to like Splitter. I do like some of his philosophies, and I'm trying to give him some grace in terms of being thrust into a really tough situation to have to take over a team after one game for a coach that everyone loved seemingly and was super well respected, to have to fill those shoes, not in a coaching way, but just in terms of like being a people person, and then but having your own style and having to deal with the media when you weren't really expecting it. So I am trying to like give him a little bit of time to become acclimated and learn on the job. I do feel like he has at times shown an ability to learn from mistakes and things like that, but it's still a pretty small sample size to know like long term if he's the answer or anything. I do think it's good to get like kind of a trial run for a coach, in terms of whether you want to keep him. Have an 81 game sample size to look at. I've been kind of torn on some of the things he said in press conferences. A lot of things I like. I do like that he has said multiple times that he needs to be better and needs to learn from situations and things like that. I do also think that there were points where, you have to worry about losing the team a little bit when things are going bad. And, you've had this kind of weird like haze over the team with the Chauncey thing at the beginning of the season, and that could easily be a situation where a lot of players get down or want to kind of give up or whatever. And I don't think any of the players on the team necessarily want to do that, but it is a situation where I think in normal circumstances maybe you would call someone out or be a little harder, maybe choose someone out for missing a defensive assignment at the end of a game that cost you a game, like the Chicago one or something. But I do think maybe for right now, when you're that young of a coach and kind of in a tough situation, I do think you need to be a little cautious with just how much you throw out criticism and stuff, especially when you're not necessarily doing the greatest job yourself. So all that to say, I think he's been okay. I did have a little bit of a problem with him playing some guys when we were healthier that shouldn't have gotten minutes, and I do think the style of play that we were playing earlier in the year was leading to a lot of this trouble we're having with the injuries and guys being tired and things like that. But it does seem to have slowed down a little bit. They're not quite pushing quite as much the entire game. So I'm interested to see when guys get back, because there's at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 players that on a normal roster should not be getting minutes. So when we're a little healthier, is he still going to play 11 guys, or is he going to shorten the rotation a little bit? Those are all things that are yet to be seen. So we'll have to kind of wait and see on a lot of that kind of stuff. How much of a pass will he receive if the Blazers make the playoffs? Well, see, a lot of that, in my opinion, depends on what the situation behind making the playoffs is. Because if they're like 34 and 40, what would that be? 34 and 48, and get the 9th seed or something because like the rest of the teams are even worse. I don't know if like being worse than last year record wise is necessarily something you could be like excited about, even if they made the playoffs. If they're above 500 though, and they win the playing game and make the playoffs as an 8 seed or the 7 seed or whatever, and are really showing some promise, then I think maybe that does bode well for him. I do think he deserves some of the credit for that. Yeah, I don't really. I don't think a super long in the tooth coach that has a lot of has had a lot of opportunities is necessarily the best for this team right now. It's like the Mike Malones I see Monty Williams mentioned in chat. Just those kind of coaches that have had multiple opportunities and might not be as I don't know what the right word is, like not dedicated, but I just feel like if you get a young, energetic coach, like look at the Suns right now, you can find guys who are young and energetic and who will work tirelessly to try and fix things. And Thiago might be that guy. I don't think we know yet. So maybe he's that guy. I find it hard to believe Mike Malone's going to like come into this situation and coach his butt off and like be up all night watching film and stuff like that. Not that you have to do that, but I think at some point some of these older coaches aren't quite as they don't have to be. Like they've made a ton of money. They've gotten opportunities and stuff like that. They don't necessarily have to put in an extreme amount of work. Whereas some of these younger guys who are trying to become coaches and trying to get their first shot will work tirelessly to do that. And I'm not saying that's all coaches. Like I'm sure there's people like Mike Malone that will try the hardest or whatever, but I do think a lot of those guys can be kind of stubborn with, oh, this has worked in the past, we're going to stick to this or whatever. And I just want somebody who's going to come in with some fresh ideas and just kind of, not necessarily be glued to them if they don't work. But I also think, if they got a coach that has championship experience and kind of settled down the roster and kind of settled down the system and it was just like calming influence, I think that would be fine too. But I mean, you look like Phoenix is a good example, and there's still a lot of time this could fall off. It just could be a hot start to the season. It's not guaranteed that this is going to be a success for them. But you look at the last 3 years when they had Vogel as their coach, they had Budenholzer their coach, and those are the guys that both have won a championship and both had all this experience and good systems or whatever. But I feel like both of those guys coach differently than when they first came in and kind of have this, well, I won a championship, I know what to do. Like, I don't need to change it or alter it or something like that. And I think, as someone we mentioned earlier, the coach we played against tonight, Doc Rivers. So, in my opinion, I think it might be better if they move on from Thiago at the end of the season to just find like the next kind of Eric Spoelstra type coach instead of um, just hiring someone who's already had multiple opportunities. Yeah, Ime Udoka, see, that one's different because like he was really good in Boston and then obviously got let go there. But so he wasn't like the type where, because he hadn't won a championship, so he wasn't the type who was like, oh, see, my system is the best. You gotta trust me. So like, it was almost like he was a first time coach again because he was like, I'm gonna show everyone that Boston was wrong, right? So he had something out to prove. Um, Will Hardy says Nika, yeah, see, he was a good hire by Utah. I doubt they'd let him go, but yeah, same kind of idea. Yep. In the first 12 games last year, Phoenix was the 1 seed too. Yeah, they kind of fell off, but yep. Yeah, Quinn Snyder, that's exactly the type of coach I wouldn't want. Not that he's not a bad coach. I'm just saying like the Warriors assistant coach, I think his name is Terry Stotts. He might be a good hire. No, don't bring anyone back. Yeah. I still like Jerry Stackhouse on that staff. I still believe in Stack. And now that he's learning from that coaching tree, yeah. Um what's up, Alex? I was talking about you earlier. Um see, this might change with new ownership. We don't know what Dundon would do. Maybe he makes a huge splash like that. But do you know how much money Hurley turned down to coach the Lakers? He's not going to come here for the coach the Blazers for. I mean, it's going to take like $100 million, like a 7 year $100 million contract just to get him even to consider it. And even then, I don't know if he's coming here. So he's not going to just come sign here for cheap because he likes Donovan Clingan. That's not happening. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe Dundon breaks out the checkbook for him, but we already know that Dundon is not necessarily struggling, but he's having to piece together all this investing stuff just to own the team. I don't think he's going to be then spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a coach. Yep. Dunn didn't want to pay the Hurricanes coach. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I still think Thiago has a chance. I think we got to see this play out a little more. But when we're healthy, please don't play all these guys. Yes, I was happy to see Robbo out there as well, Alex. Good outing from him. Good to see him play 16 minutes after playing, 20 minutes on Friday, I think it was. Yep, still not going to play him back-to-backs, but just got to take that for what it is. I just went through his coaching for like 10 minutes. I don't know. I mean, were you not? You've been in here, right? I do think he has learned from a few of his mistakes, Tristan. I do think tonight they switched up their coverages a little bit to make sure that stretch big wasn't getting them as much. It didn't. They didn't execute it well, like I said earlier in the show. But yeah, Keegan Murray playing 44 minutes tonight. All good. Yeah. Just if you just go back a little bit, I've been talking about coaches for the last little bit. Um, but anyways, it's probably gonna do it for the show tonight. Um, yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. I'm just hoping like heck the Blazers win that game against the Spurs. Huge game for that group championship if they win. And then on to the playoff knockout round format. It'd be awesome to just have some sort of like little positive thing in this stretch. And so, yeah, it's should be an awesome game. Blazers should be favored, I'm assuming, considering all the players that are out for the Spurs. So it should be a game they should be able to hopefully win. And hope we're coming on here on Wednesday talking about it because it'd be really fun to have a game where the Blazers come out on top and win that group of death. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone tuning in once again. Shout out to all those who were with me both last night and tonight. And then thank you to everyone else who has been watching. Thank you for those who watch later. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel. If you enjoy the content, make sure you leave us a like on the way out. It's the easiest and free way to support the channel. Yeah, we just want to say as a personal note, I really enjoy you guys. Thank you so much for keeping chat lively, for interacting and all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate all of you. And yeah, it's fun to just of course, like the shows with Tori are completely different because we have all the fancy graphics and more of a system for breaking down the games and stuff. But it's really fun to have some of these streams like this as well, where we can just sit back and talk basketball. It's really fun, and like you guys have been great in chat and contributing to the show as well. So appreciate all of you. Hope you all have a good rest of your Monday and a good Tuesday, and then we'll see you back on the show on Wednesday. So have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace out. Go Blazers.